Black women are the most vulnerable women in the world. Too many of our Black and brown women are dying at the hands of their intimate partners. Although there have been research studies, discussions, and resources created to help, our mortality rates continue to rise. What are the reasons why, and how do we reverse the damage to our communities and families? Let's explore the problems to find solutions.
Shalom. I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Black and Healthy, Restoring Black America here on YouTube and also broadcasting on the Country Living in the City page on Facebook. I am your host, Smith, RN Case Manager and Community Advocate. I like to continue the series about Black women mortality rates, and I would like to apologize to my audience. So sorry that it took so long to get the second video out. I've been having a lot of technical difficulties, and I've been very overwhelmed at work, my full-time job. So I still got to put food on the table, people. So I could not do the second part of this video as soon as I would like to, but I do thank you for your support and hanging in there with me. And I have two videos to share with you today. One is a TED Talk, and I'm going to show the entirety of this video because the lady that's speaking speaks so eloquently about our sisters and our culture as Black women here, especially in America. Of course, she's talking about African American women. I just say Black because everyone doesn't attest to being African American. But the other video I'm going to show, I'm only going to show about 3 minutes of it, but it talks about the attitude of our women and why we don't seek the help that is there, because there is help available for people who are in intimate partner violence type situations in their domestic violent relationships. And myself, being transparent, I experienced domestic violence and had to go through a lot in my first marriage. But I will share that story time in another video, but I wanted to give resources today for those that need help and need just how to get out the situation. There is, and in another video, I will be actually giving you tips on how to get away. Unfortunately, I had to get away. I had to get away, and I also had to keep what I had already worked for. I had to protect my licensure through all the things I was going through because I was already a licensed nurse. And licensed nurse, you cannot be arrested. Okay, that's just it in the nutshell. And I experienced a lot of that as a Black woman, as a nurse, as a mother. I wasn't a grandmother then, but I am now. So I like to share my wisdom with the community. So if you're trying to get away, you have a way. And I'll give you some tips because trust me, it was a dangerous situation and we got out alive. So I wanted to show this video. I want to share my screen with you guys. This is a topic close to home for some of you guys, and that's okay. We're here for you. You're our sisters, our brothers, because the brothers are going through it too. Don't think they ain't. I've seen it myself. So, brothers, you can step up too and let us know because I've seen it. I believe you. And don't let nobody tell you you don't need the help, because you do. Because you're a man don't mean some men will not put their hands on a woman, no matter what she's doing. Y'all remember that, sisters, because he knows his strength. He knows he could kill you with one blow. And that's why he ain't done it. So don't think he's a whip. He loves you that much that he will not put his hands on you. But that don't mean you have the right to hit him. Just sharing that with you guys, because that's how I feel. You're not, we don't have to disagree by putting hands on anything. That's ridiculous. That is not how adults act. But, sorry, very passionate about this topic, but I'm going to share my screen with you.
Hello, everyone. Today's topic is a bit heavy, but it is a much needed conversation. Today, we are talking about something that affects every community, regardless of race, socioeconomic status, or privilege: domestic violence. I'm Shamika Sanders. Beside me is Kiara Kelly. Hey. And Africa Miranda. Make yourself comfortable. Another episode of Listen to Black Women starts now. How many deaths will it take in the Black community for us to start recognizing domestic abuse as an issue and advocating for survivors? Feminista Jones wrote in a Time article that for Black women, a strong sense of cultural affinity and loyalty to community and race renders many of us silent, so our stories often go untold. We see this often in pop culture with incidents like Chris Brown and Rihanna, Fabulous and Emily B., Ray Rice and his wife, who he punched out in the elevator and dragged out. The NFL has such an issue with domestic violence. We see this over and over. This all leads us to the question of the week. What can we do to combat domestic violence in our communities? Ladies, let's sound off on this.
I think one of the first things we can do is what we're doing now, which is talking about it. It's definitely mum in our communities, historically, generation after generation. This is something that our mothers have dealt with.
Yes.
And it's hard for people to see it as a problem because they're like, I dealt with it, I made it through it. Why now is this generation the one talking about it? But I think we're doing exactly that. And I think it's also just so hard for us because we're raised to protect the Black man at all costs, even if it's the cost to our own lives, our own bodies, our own families. And I think there comes a point where we have to turn that care internal.
Absolutely.
So that we can protect ourselves, so that we're not sacrificing our own livelihoods to protect our men.
Yeah, there's also a huge financial aspect of it because when you have physical violence within a relationship, it usually is coupled with financial abuse as well. So many men use their standing as the quote unquote head of the household to control the finances. So a lot of women can't even leave or, try to get to safety for themselves or their children because they literally cannot afford to do it. So they are stuck in this, this horrible situation with no way out.
Pop culture has normalized domestic abuse when we see incidents with Khalees and Nas, when a victim comes out and tells her story and people are quick to jump on the man's side. I remember when this came out and people were just like, no, couldn't be Nas.
Not our woke Nas.
Not Nas. Khalees was always.
Why'd she take so long?
Why'd she take so long? So incidents like this we always see. It normalizes the fact that we don't see it as such an issue.
For most everyone in Black culture, the church is where you go for like as your moral compass. We make up, such a large, like this huge religious population. And I think also that probably feeds into it as well, because so much in the church is about, keeping things within the family until, better or worse within marriages, and you don't want to break up the home. But women are suffering in silence.
As more and more people talk about this, they are taking to social media. So let's see what they all had to say about this. Fresh, a woman who tweeted, "For anyone who knows someone in an abusive relationship, be that person's safe place. Don't judge them or make them feel embarrassed. Help them. You could be saving a life." And it was a thread. "For anyone in an abusive relationship, I encourage you to get out, but more importantly than ever, do so safely." Because that is also an issue when talking about domestic violence, is being able to actually get away. Cardi B, not the rapper.
Okay, guys, I didn't want to keep talking about celebrities, but that's literally what her channel was about. But I wanted to give you an aspect of how, basically the modern women, Black women, how we look at things and how society kind of accepts domestic violence in our community. And that attitude is just not correct. It's just not correct. I didn't want to get beat on. I didn't want to be in fights with my husband. I didn't want to do that. But the next video I'm going to share with you is it might be hard to swallow, because she's bringing out a lot of the stereotypes about Black women here in America. And unfortunately, it also points out not only our attitude about things, but attitudes of society towards us, where it makes us difficult, even though the resources are there. It makes us reluctant to use. And I experienced this firsthand myself. I never was looked at as a victim. I can honestly say that. Even when I reached out for help, I was never looked at as a victim. And I don't know how vulnerable I'm supposed to look with a black eye, and bruises up and down my body, but I guess because, my tone of voice is still the same. When I'm explaining myself, I talk the way I do. If it doesn't sound like I'm vulnerable, I can be, but it's not, these are the things that this video points out, about how people see us as a culture of women. And that's something we need to be aware of when we're reaching out to help. Because even though people are trained to know cultures, it seems like we're forgotten. We are a culture of women. We do have idiosyncrasies between ourselves that may not be understood by other nations. And these are things that need to be pointed out. And when you're doing cultural training, we are a culture. I guess they forgot that in training. But let me share this video with you guys, and you will understand implicitly how we're looked at many times when we reached out for help in domestic violence situations. I hope it plays. Hold on. There we go.
Why are African American women nearly 2.5 times more likely than white women to be murdered by their intimate partner? Why are they murdered 5 years younger than the national average? And why, in spite of all of this, are they more likely to remain with their abusive partner? What's really going on? I started researching intimate partner violence a few years ago, and for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why African American women experience the poorest outcomes. There are systems in place. The police, shelters, emergency rooms, and community practitioners are all available. Why are these women not seeking the help that they need? And at what cost? It wasn't until I began sorting this out with my dissertation advisor that I wondered, how much of me is getting in the way? I'm not talking about me, the student, the professor, or even me, the college administrator, but me, the African American woman. When you look at me, that's probably the first thing that you notice, is that I am an African American woman. But what exactly does that mean? Well, first of all, African American women are smart, strong, and very resilient. We take pride in the fact that we're the glue that keeps our families together. We protect our men and our children. We're taught to fight back and to look out for yourself, because after all, no one else is going to look out for you. We're also told to never let them see you sweat, and no matter what happens, you got this. You have got everything under control. But what happens if I'm being abused? I may not have everything under control. I'm already in a double jeopardy because it's my role to protect my man from the man. So I may not readily call the police. But if I do call the police, it's because I really need them for protection, advice, and to rescue me. Only when they arrive, they're confused. Because my abuser is probably as bruised, battered, and bloodied as I am, they're left trying to figure out who's the victim and who's the perpetrator. And because I've never been allowed to be vulnerable and may already be depressed, when the officer asks what happened, I may yell at him, "He hit me and I hit him back," which was the wrong thing to do and say, because that plays right into the societal stereotype of the angry Black woman. And chances are, the officer doesn't understand the nuances of my culture. So he misinterprets my depression for disrespect. So instead of getting a referral to the emergency shelter system, which is what I really need, I'm slapped with a dual order of protection right along with my abusive partner, maybe even carted off to jail. If I make it into the emergency shelter system, my experiences are similar. My fear and frustration are misinterpreted as hostility, and that could very well land me without securing the services that I need to safely leave. The emergency shelter system is designed to help me right-size my life. Only I feel like an outsider. Small items that would help me restore my sense of self, like basic hair products or even foods that I enjoy, they're not there. Then there's the healthcare system. People who could actually help me ignore my disfigured face, neglect to ask how I lost consciousness, about my morbid obesity, or why this is the 7th time that they have treated me within the last 12 months. And because I'm very religious, I'm going to turn to my church to seek counsel. Only, not all members of clergy are trained to fully support me. At best, I'm encouraged to leave. But at worst, which happens more oftentimes than not, I'm encouraged to cope, even remain with my abusive partner. Because, after all, it is my job to keep my family together at all costs, even if that cost is my life. And you know what? It's killing me. You see me as an angry Black woman, and it's killing me. The police misinterpret my depression for disrespect, and it's killing me. Shelter workers misunderstand my fear and frustration, and it's killing me. Emergency room physicians are not asking the critical questions, and it's killing me. My pastor expects me to keep my family together at all costs, and it's killing me. But what if we stop the killing? What if we flipped the script and offered help right from the start? What if you didn't see me as an angry Black woman, a superwoman who's got this, or even as a sassy, back-talking sapphire? Can you imagine? Can you imagine how much we can improve the outcomes of African American women who are victims of intimate partner violence if you just saw me as me, a real person who is scared, depressed, and desperate, and not through the stereotypical lenses? What if I called the police and they actually saw me as a vulnerable woman who really needed their protection? What if I could find shelter in the shelter system? A place where I was valued, understood, and fully supported. What if emergency room physicians actually asked how I sustained my injuries and whether they were the result of intimate partner violence? What if my pastor preached about God's hatred of abuse as much as he preached against divorce? African American women who are victims of intimate partner violence have the same supports available to them as women of other racial ethnic groups. But do we really? Are we really fully supported by the police, the shelter system, emergency room physicians, and community practitioners? Perhaps I would leave if there were supports that were available and people who actually understood and valued me for me. So why not? Why not fight through the underlying biases to hear what I haven't told you? Why not struggle to see the hurt, the pain, and scars that I haven't shown you? Why not ask the critical questions? I am more likely to disclose that I'm a victim of intimate partner violence and even leave my abusive partner if you just ask whether I'm being abused. To my sisters, it is okay to be vulnerable, even as vulnerable as white women are allowed to be. You don't have to have everything together all of the time. Police, See my aggression as a sign that things are spiraling out of control. I'm actually trying to tell you that I need your help, not push you away. Shelter workers, you can go home, but this temporary shelter is my home. So make sure it is a safe, inviting, and respectful place for me to unset and rewind. Emergency room physicians, my obesity and my blood pressure are signs that I'm collapsing under the stress of it all. Offer me more than a blood pressure pill. Pastors, you are not the expert on this, and we don't expect you to be. So connect us with real resources in the community and people who could really and fully support me. Because when it comes to intimate partner violence, I need to do a little bit more than pray about it. I think this is an idea worth sharing. Our words do not have to be the walls that keep us as African American women from getting the help that we need to safely leave our abusive partner. If you could just stop, ask, think, and really listen, together, we can save lives. And even if it's just one life, I think it's worth it. What about you?
Okay, guys. Well, that is the conclusion of my videos today. I will be doing a part 2 to this because I want to have a discussion about tips on how to get away. I want to share my own experience with you guys. And if there's anyone else that would like to share, you can inbox me at jsmith at countrylivinginthe.city.com. I will post the links to these 2 videos in the description, below the description of the video, and also my email address. If you would like to come on the next broadcast and share a story and see if we can find you some resources in your local area. I will be on live and I will be on camera. I'm waiting on a new camera, guys, because I don't know what my other camera is doing. But I'm not a video person. I'm trying my best with the cameras I have. And I had to order something new because my pictures were being distorted. But well, that's all I got for you guys today. Take care of yourself and take care of each other. Until next time, shalom.